This is Rashawn Slater, first round draft pick for the LA Chargers, and you're listening to the Charged Up Bolts podcast. Bolt up.
Hello, Chargers fans and NFL fans, because don't forget, it is the off-season. I did promise you tons of off-season content. That's when we open up from being quite niche for those Chargers fans to being available to all of you NFL fans across the globe. I have a really special guest that kicks off our off-season. It's Jeff Kerr, CBS Sports. How are you, my friend?
Doing pretty well. So, what has it been, about a month maybe we tried to get together on this, and obviously NFL duties, and I think we tried to get together, what was it, after the Chargers Raiders game, and wild card weekend is ironically the biggest weekend of the year for me, because they had me focusing on all the wild card teams and doing all that, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's right, the Chargers season just ended. So I told you there, so it eventually happened.
You see, that was a shock to the heart. I purged that game from my mind. And it was such a disappointing end to the season for the Chargers, because although we lacked depth, we weren't as good on defense as I thought we could be. Justin Herbert needs to be in the playoffs, man. Come on, You see just Burrow going into the NFL. He's an incredible defense that propels him deep into the playoffs. Did you enjoy the season? What were your big takeaways? The banana helmets from St. Louis have won it, disappointingly.
Yeah, so I enjoy every NFL season. I'll say that, but this season was enjoyable for me. Like I love watching the young quarterbacks personally. Like Justin Herbert's one of my favorite quarterbacks to watch in the entire league. It's Justin Herbert. It's Patrick Mahomes. I think that's going to be a rivalry for years to come. I'm a big Josh Allen guy. Joe Burrow, I really like a lot too. I think he's a little, I don't mind the cocky confidence thing, because I was kind of like that when I was an athlete, but it's a little too rich for my taste now. It's, people were ready to crown him already. I'm like, well, give Justin Herbert the Cincinnati Bengals defense. Give Patrick Mahomes, a better defense. Really, I was that guy who said the Chiefs lost the AFC Championship game more than the Bengals won it. And I kind of felt that way with the Chargers in the sense. And I love Brandon Staley. I love his aggressiveness. But in a way, I felt Brandon Staley cost the Chargers a playoff spot this year. And no matter what Justin Herbert did, 6 for 6, 106 yards on fourth down, that team was good enough to go to the playoffs. Would they have done anything in the playoffs? I don't know, because if you get a quarterback that talented in there, maybe they're the team that beats the Cincinnati Bengals. I don't think they would have played them, though. But, maybe they're the team that goes on a little bit of a run, and maybe they're the team that goes to the Super Bowl. I really don't think the Chargers are that far off. They need to get a couple things in-house settled, but overall, I kind of like the spot they're in.
That's really positive to hear. We thought we do have some cap space with decent amount of cash. There's a lot of people to re-sign. There's some availability, but traditionally, Telesco has been a build from the draft guy, which hasn't been, as part from outside the first round, particularly been a major success for him. And particularly after his tenure, 9 years, just 2 playoff appearances, no championships in the division. We're lacking depth, which is a little bit criminal. We went from Anthony Lynn, who was very conservative, Mike McCoy even more so, and Staley was probably a little bit too aggressive in his first year. But I liked it. I'm happy with Fourth and Staley. I like to see the gung-ho attitude. What I want to see now is it backed up in the offseason. Do you think the Chargers are going to make big splashes and Telesco's going to put it all on the line, or do you think he's just not the kind of guy?
Well, I think one of the guys he has to re-sign is Mike Williams, and I'm actually writing this for a piece right now for CBS Sports, potential franchise tag candidates. And Mike Williams is one of them. And I think the Chargers should pay a player like that, at least for next year, $18 million. But again, you can negotiate a long-term deal with them. And I think Mike Williams would sign a long-term deal with the Chargers. And look, I just interviewed Justin Herbert earlier this month. He wants Mike Williams back on this team. And yeah, I know Chargers fans kind of brushed it off saying, well, he wants everybody back. Well, I'm like, no, he really does want him back. Like, he was pretty sincere about that. Like, I specifically asked him Mike Williams, and his face lit up. So I'm looking at it as, okay, this is a guy you got to resign. That's an in-house guy. And you're right about Tedesco. Like, to me, he does hit on a lot of first-round picks. Mike Williams, Rashad Slater, Justin Herbert. And it's kind of the opposite of what I'm used to in Philadelphia, because everybody likes to rip Howie Roseman, the Eagles GM, because they're like, oh, he misses on a lot of first-round picks. I'm like, yeah, but look at the later picks he gets. Jordan Mailata, guys like that. Everybody seems to forget that because they're day 3 picks. And again, you're right. The Chargers like to build through the draft, but they do have some money, and they are in LA. They should be able to get these players. It's got to suck for them right now. They're already, everybody makes fun of the Rams because no one goes to their games. Well, how do you think Chargers fans feel right now? It's, this was a former franchise that was beloved in San Diego. They move an hour and a half up to LA, and now it seems like they have less fans. But this is a likable team. They have likable players. They have a likable coach. I've interviewed Brandon Staley a couple times already. I covered their game against the Ravens in week 6, I think it was, and I asked Staley, 4th and 6, you're on your 18. What are you doing? And he's like, well, we're down 24-6. Does it really matter at that point? And he's right. Like it doesn't. It's a different way of thinking. And, he didn't give me like a smart ass answer. He was just like, hey, we weren't getting anything going offensively. I thought maybe you get, and I did say to him, well, in my opinion, the play did work. Herbert just overthrew. I think it was, I'm trying to remember who it was. I think it was Jalen Guyton he overthrew. I'm trying to remember the play. But, he was wide open. And I'm just like, okay, well, you know what? Analytics probably says go for it. Unfortunately, execution doesn't go with analytics, as you guys saw at the Chiefs game. But again, I really don't think they're that far off. It's they missed the playoffs by a field goal, and 7 teams make it. I don't think Pittsburgh's making the playoffs next year. I don't think Vegas is going to make the playoffs next year. So there's a spot open for them, and if they can just improve their roster a little bit, and like you said, get some more depth, maybe improve the offensive line just a little bit. I think they need someone to help out Bosa. I think it'll be okay.
I think you've named some great positions there, but the Chargers on social media, we've run some polls. We've asked them who they're really interested in this offseason, and the big splashy names have come up. It's almost as if the Chargers fans are ready for Tom Telesco to go and get some of the Spanos' money and spend it. The names that they're talking about, everybody wants Davante Adams. I'm pretty sure everyone in the NFL wants Davante Adams. You've got Von Miller. He used to absolutely beat up Phillip Rivers when the Broncos came to town, and he's a potential option. Who do you think the big names out there that realistically the Chargers could get? Are they is an Adams or a Miller just pie in the sky, or should they really target those kind of players?
I think a lot of those guys are, again, if they hit the open market. I don't think Green Bay's going to let Davante Adams hit free agency. I think they're going to put the tag on him and make it a win-win situation for them. Because here's the first one. Aaron Rodgers. He might come back because of that. So you got to think it long-term there. 2, they could always trade him. And maybe that's where LA could get involved and say, you know what, we'll give up a first-round pick. But why would you want to give up a first-round pick when you hit on your first-round picks? So, it's chicken and the egg thing. So I don't think Davante Adams actually goes anywhere unless Aaron Rodgers leaves. I think he goes wherever Aaron Rodgers goes. And obviously Aaron Rodgers isn't going to the Chargers because they have a quarterback. They don't have to worry about a quarterback for a long time. Von Miller would be intriguing. I think he's – and again, he's in LA, but I think he'd be set on going back to Denver, honestly. I think he could – I could see him now that he got another Super Bowl going back to Denver, kind of helping a rebuilding team. And again, if someone like Aaron Rodgers goes to Denver, I think guys are going to chase him there. It's a weird situation for the Chargers because you have that quarterback, but I don't want to see players go ring hunting because I don't think that's a thing. But I think they do go where that'll give them their best chance to win the championship. Until the Chargers make that deep playoff run, I don't think we're going to see that. So I think the Chargers will get creative in free agency. I do think they need a cornerback, though. I still got to figure out which cornerbacks are actually going to be available. Maybe some safe. I'll tell you a player I would like to see there, Marcus Williams from the Saints. I don't think the Saints are going to bring him back. They should bring him back, but they're $75 million over the cap. So you could franchise tag him and make your life a lot more difficult. And he did play on the tag last year, but Marcus Williams would be a guy I like to see there. There's a couple other pieces. Honestly, you want another pass rusher. I don't think Melvin Ingram's ever going to be interested in there. I interviewed him 2 years ago. He seemed pretty keen on, I'm not coming back here no matter what. But there are guys available, like maybe Hassan Reddick, maybe Harold Landry if they don't get tagged and hit the open market. I think that's what they need ultimately. I just think they need someone to pair with Bosa and to help him out because Ingram was great in that role and he really helped Bosa out. If they can do that again and get a better front defensive tackle, honestly, is what they need too. They were one of the league's worst teams at stopping the run. I think you can use your allocated cap space and kind of get 1 or 2 players there because run stop and defensive tackles, it's not like they're expensive.
Well, a lot of the mock drafts I've started seeing, Mel Kiper's first gives a defensive tackle to the Chargers in the first. But the reason I don't think it's going to happen, 3 years ago, there was Knicks came out. I think the Texans took him in the second from memory. That might be my mind playing tricks on me. But a lot of mock drafts said the Chargers were going to take it that time again. And Telesco came out of the draft room on day one and said, we're never taking defensive tackle. They're very difficult to evaluate. We're not sure if they're going to be stars or if they're going to flatter deceive. And he was right on that point. So I've always said he's going to go to the free agent market. He brought Linval Joseph in last season, 2 seasons. He's been great when healthy and in spurts, but he's a free agent and he's aging. So I think that's a piece that I am absolutely nailing on as my prediction, that we go to free agency and fill that and fix the D-line somehow and make real investment. Chris Harris Jr. looked absolutely awful towards the end of the season. Think he's past it and we need a cornerback. Yeah, so I'm looking at someone on the market I really wanted. Is it JC Johnson or JC Jackson? JC Jackson.
I think Patriots are going to attack him. I don't even think they're going to let him see the light of day.
Yeah, I'd agree with you 100%. I said it last year. I think they put a tender on him, and I wanted the Chargers to go out and get him. And instead, they used that capital to go up and get Murray, the linebacker, in the draft, and it didn't work out. So I really want to see the Chargers aggressively attacking cornerback, D-line, both pass rush and run stuffer, and get Staley the defense that he is famous for running. And then you can perhaps look in the draft at going at offense. I want to know your thoughts about next season. Who are the teams you really think are going to make a run? You got some predictions out there? Who's exciting you?
Yeah, so I'm sure Chargers Nation won't want to hear this. I'm very bullheaded toward the Kansas City Chiefs. I think they're going to be in it every single year because I grew up with the Andy Reid era in Philadelphia. I know what Andy Reid is capable of, and he has a ultra world quarterback in Patrick Mahomes. So I don't think they're ever going to be counted out of it. The Buffalo Bills are definitely up there too. It's the Chiefs and the Bills, I think, are the 2 best teams in the AFC. No disrespect to the Bengals, who did go to the Super Bowl, but I still think Kansas City and Buffalo are going to be better than them next year. I am not writing off the Chargers at all. Like, as long as you got Justin Herbert, you're going to have a chance. I don't want to hear, well, he's never been to the playoffs yet. Well, he's also had 2 head coaches in 2 years. He's probably going to have some continuity on that side of the ball. Shane Steichen obviously went to Philadelphia. He's got the same offense coordinator now 2 years in a row in Joe Lombardi. So I think that's going to help him. I'm not rolling out the Chargers at all. It just sucks that their division is that good. Like, I love it as a national guy, but overall, it's like you got the Raiders in here. Derek Carr doesn't stink. Denver's going to get better. They're a quarterback away. Like, the Chargers could go 9-8 and finish last place in that division. It's absolutely crazy when you think about it. Like, I think that's what their goal should be, to win 10, 11 games and then figure out if you can win in the tournament. I mean, that's honestly it. In the NFC, who knows? Green Bay, it all depends what Aaron Rodgers does. Tampa Bay, Tom Brady is retired. I'm not sure if he's actually going to retire, but I think San Fran's going to be up there again. No matter who their quarterback is, whether it's Jimmy G or Trey Lance, I think it is going to be Trey Lance. In the NFC East, it's so hard to predict. I mean, Dallas should win that division, but the Eagles get a quarterback. They might be pretty good. The NFC North is terrible. Going to tell everybody till I'm blue in the face. The NFC North is terrible. The NFC South looks to be terrible. The Rams are going to be good they're going to spend. They're going to keep spending. Les Snead doesn't believe in draft picks, so they're going to be good again. I think if Russell Wilson stays in Seattle, I think the Seahawks will be good again. I think the Cardinals are going to be good again. You guys are lucky out west. There's some good football out there. It's a shame I got to wait till 4:00 in the afternoon to actually watch NFC and AFC West football, but there's some good football out there.
Yeah, but it's painful. I've never seen the Chargers in my fan tenure win the division. And all that time, Rivers was the quarterback. Then all of us, just as he was about to become the best quarterback and probably the best team in the AFC West, Peyton Manning turns up. Then Patrick Mahomes becomes the Chiefs quarterback. And now maybe even Aaron Rodgers comes to Denver and does it again. And then we're competing in LA against the Super Bowl champs. We might end up with Brady and Gronk at the 49ers, in some obscure world. So we're always competing out here out there on the West Coast.
15 years. I still haven't forgiven the Chargers for firing Mari Schottenheimer after a 14-2 season. That franchise blamed him for that playoff loss, but I'm trying to remember who picked off the pass now and fumbled the ball off Tom Brady. That was the year the Chargers should have won the Super Bowl. Phil Rivers' first year as a starting quarterback. They were a really good football team. And then you fire Marty Schottenheimer for Norv Turner, the most underachieving coach ever. I don't get what Spanos was thinking there. Again, that was their best team in my lifetime. In my lifetime, that 14-2 Chargers team was by far their best team. And I know that the team next year went further and went to the AFC Championship, but that Rivers Tomlinson team, they were tough to beat. And you're right. It's like the Chargers have always been good, but they haven't been great or elite in the last 15 years. And I think they can be elite. It just stinks that they're in the same division with the only team that's won 50 games over the last 4 years, Kansas City Chiefs.
Right. I want two last things from you. Number one, I'm going to make you pick one team to win the Super Bowl next year.
I'll go Kansas City. I'm bullheaded. I pick them every year. They were 3-4. I picked them to go to the Super Bowl. I was looking really smart until they blew the AFC Championship game, because I thought they were going to beat the Rams in the Super Bowl if they would have gotten there. So
I think so.
Yeah. If you had the point anything in my head, I would definitely pick Kansas City.
I think I probably will. That's where my money would lie, and just hope that we can compete with them and work out Patrick Mahomes. Last but not least, where can we find you? The kind of content that you're going to provide. Where can our listeners find your stuff?
So you can find me on CBSSports.com. My Twitter handle is right on the screen there, Jeff Kerr CBS. I'm always tweeting out a bunch of stats. Not as much recently because I'm kind of detoxing from the NFL, but again, I always got tons of stats out. You'll see tons of Justin Herbert's stats and facts. Same with Austin Eckler. I'm a big fan of him. Mike Williams. A lot of the free agents that I'll be posting stats about on my Twitter account. But yeah, all my stuff's on CBSSports.com. You can find me on there. You can find me on 97.3 ESPN in Atlantic City, South Jersey. I talk Eagles. I talk NFL there 3 times a week. I also am on Birds 365 with Jacob Media. Again, that's Eagle-centric. I don't know if Chargers fans would be interested in that unless they play the Eagles, which only happened this year. By the way, I gotta brag a little bit here. That is one game I got exactly right on my predictions this year. I don't predict a lot of games, but I was charged with doing Chargers-Eagles. I picked the Chargers to win 27-24, and I said, the Eagles are going to rally. They're going to tie the game. I literally wrote this, and then the defense, because Jonathan Gannon always decides to play back and play that too high safety thing. Justin Herbert's just going to lead a long drive down the field, and Chargers are going to win the field goal. And that's exactly what happened. I'm sick of the press box. It's just like, I'm done. I'm done. I'm retiring from football. But yeah, that's where you can find me. And again, I love talking NFL. The Chargers are going to be one of the teams I can't wait to watch next year. Do they play Baltimore next year?
I think we play the Ravens. Yeah.
Is it in Baltimore again?
I believe so. I've got
if it is, I'll tell you what. I told Justin Herbert this. Like, he's 6'7". Like, he's legit 6'7". I'm only like 5'7". I'm like, you're one of the biggest quarterbacks I've ever seen. I've seen a lot of tall quarterbacks. So, but you can tell you guys got a good one for a long time.
No, that's amazing. It's been a pleasure to have you. We hope to have you back during the season, but enjoy the off season, and we look forward to having you back.
Yep, sounds great. Thanks for having me on.